Emma Carter had always believed that love could survive disappointment. But everything changed during her grandmother's 80th birthday celebration when her wealthy uncle publicly called her a failure for choosing to become a teacher instead of joining the family business. As the guests laughed politely to avoid upsetting the powerful businessman, Emma quietly picked up the old wooden box her grandmother had secretly slipped into her hands and walked out without saying a single word, carrying with her the only gift that seemed to come from genuine love. The next morning, Emma unlocked the dusty box inside her small apartment and found dozens of handwritten journals, faded letters, and a small brass key tied together with a blue ribbon that had almost lost its color. One letter instructed her to visit a forgotten countryside library that had belonged to her late grandfather, explaining that the key would open something far more valuable than money if she was willing to search for the truth. Curious and determined, Emma drove several hours to the abandoned library, where an elderly caretaker welcomed her with surprising warmth and revealed that he had promised her grandfather to protect the building until the rightful person arrived. Hidden beneath a loose wooden floorboard was a locked chest containing original manuscripts, historical maps, and legal papers proving that her grandfather had quietly donated priceless literary collections to museums while preserving ownership rights that now legally belonged to Emma. Historians soon confirmed that the collection was worth millions because several famous authors had personally annotated the rare manuscripts decades earlier, making them almost impossible to replace anywhere in the world. Emma was stunned by the discovery, but instead of dreaming about luxury, she felt a deep responsibility to protect the legacy her grandfather had spent his entire life preserving. News of the discovery spread quickly, and within days her uncle Victor unexpectedly appeared at her apartment, wearing his brightest smile and pretending nothing had ever happened between them. He insisted that the documents should be placed under his company's management because, according to him, Emma was too inexperienced to negotiate with museums, collectors, and legal experts who would surely take advantage of her. Emma thanked him politely but refused to hand over anything before speaking with independent attorneys and historians, a response that instantly erased the fake kindness from Victor's face. His cheerful voice became cold as he warned that expensive legal battles could last for years if she refused to cooperate, hoping fear would force her to surrender everything voluntarily. Rather than panic, Emma contacted her longtime friend Daniel, an investigative journalist known for exposing corporate corruption and financial fraud that powerful people desperately tried to hide. After examining Victor's businesses, Daniel uncovered evidence that several of his charitable organizations existed only on paper while millions of dollars had quietly disappeared into secret accounts controlled by shell companies. Instead of immediately exposing the evidence, Emma patiently waited while Victor grew increasingly desperate to gain control of the manuscripts before government investigators discovered his financial crimes. Every threatening phone call and misleading email he sent only created more evidence showing his intention to manipulate and pressure the rightful owner of the collection. Victor eventually invited Emma to a prestigious charity gala, promising that respected lawyers and museum directors would attend to help finalize an agreement that would supposedly benefit everyone involved. Emma accepted the invitation because she already knew the event would become the perfect stage for revealing the truth instead of surrendering her inheritance. On the evening of the gala, Emma entered the magnificent ballroom wearing a simple yet elegant navy blue dress that reflected quiet confidence rather than extravagant wealth. Guests whispered in surprise because the timid young woman they remembered had disappeared, replaced by someone whose calm expression suggested she was completely prepared for whatever happened next. Victor welcomed her with exaggerated affection before leading her into a private conference room where polished documents waited neatly arranged across a long wooden table. Believing he had already won, he encouraged Emma to sign immediately without reading every page, claiming there was no reason to waste time on complicated legal language between family members. Emma smiled gently and placed her own folder beside his documents, explaining that her legal advisors had prepared one final agreement requiring only a simple signature before everything could proceed smoothly. Victor barely glanced at the title before signing confidently, never realizing that the document formally acknowledged his personal responsibility for managing several organizations already under government investigation. Only minutes later, Victor proudly stepped onto the stage to announce that his company would soon oversee one of the country's greatest historical collections, expecting applause from influential guests and reporters filling the ballroom. Instead, investigators entered the hall with official warrants, calmly informing him that new evidence connected him directly to multiple financial crimes supported by his own freshly signed declaration. The room fell silent as reporters rushed forward with cameras while Victor desperately insisted that he had been deceived. Yet every word only strengthened the overwhelming evidence already collected against him. Emma watched quietly from the audience, understanding that justice had arrived not because she sought revenge but because truth had finally found the courage to stand in the light. Months later, the rare manuscripts were placed inside a newly restored public museum where students, researchers, and families could admire the remarkable collection without worrying that greed would hide it away forever. Emma established an educational foundation supporting rural schools, ensuring that children with limited opportunities could discover the same love of learning that her grandfather had inspired in her. Although her financial future was now completely secure, Emma chose to continue teaching because she believed changing one young life could be more meaningful than owning countless luxuries. She visited the museum often, smiling whenever she saw children staring with amazement at the exhibits that almost disappeared because of one man's selfish ambition. Standing beside her grandfather's portrait during the museum's grand opening ceremony, Emma realized that real wealth had never been measured by bank accounts or expensive buildings, but by the lives touched through kindness, honesty, and courage. The greatest inheritance she received was not the priceless collection itself but the confidence to protect what was right even when powerful people tried to silence her. If this story reminded you that integrity is stronger than greed and that courage can transform even the darkest moments into new beginnings, remember that every difficult chapter can eventually become the foundation of a brighter future. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.